it's your girl Kristyn Alexis, and welcome back to my trading channel. So today I'm going to walk you through my weekly bias. We're gonna get through this pretty quickly, but I do want to walk you guys through it as promised. I think overall this week is pretty similar to last week, so it should be kind of easy. But first of all, I mentioned to you in the past that I do like to use trend lines. So the first thing I'm noticing is that this passive trend line here on ES, and we are currently on the day chart. You can reference this top left-hand corner up here to see the time frame that I'm working with. But we're on the day chart, and as you can see, we've lost this aggressive trend line right here. We have a passive trend line which actually lines right up with my bias that I have for the week. So that's the first thing I do want to know. So I want to start with this day candle right here. It definitely catches my attention, and it's making me think that something is holding this candle down. The reason why I say this is because when you learn order block theory, Michael teaches that order blocks have to be respected by the body. So bodies tell the story, wicks do the damage. So something I'm noticing here, and this just comes from watching order blocks for a really long time, is that this candle here is respecting something as an order block, and I am suspecting it may be this candle. And this is based on the fact that an order block is validated when the low is traded through or the high is traded through for bullish. Depending on who you talk to from ICT or from his core students, from his original student group, some will actually say it's also when the low of the body is traded through. So either way, this candle has had its low and the body traded through, and as you can see, this candle here from Friday is respecting this, is what I suspect. So that's the first thing that I'm just kind of taking note. Doesn't mean I'm going to take action as a result of that, but it's just something that I do pay attention to, I do take note of, and I'm just kind of watching it and using it for perspective before I take my trade. I don't trade off of this by itself, though. I just definitely want to mention that so that you don't misunderstand what I'm communicating. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second thing is, if we go down here to the 4-hour time frame, we can see that price is currently respecting the bearish PD array. So we had a bearish order block here. This candle here respected that bearish order block and went lower, creating a break of structure to the downside on this range here and creating a fair value gap when it broke that structure. So that's the second thing I note. Third thing I'm noting is we had a previous week low over here with this green candle. That previous week low was not taken when ES made an attempt to go down to the weekly bullish fair value gap last week. That created relative equal lows, which I see this happen a lot, where price will go to a target, not get there, trade all the way back up, wait, and then do it later. I think this is a form of manipulation to trick us. I also think that this is algorithmic. Michael has said this time and time again, and I definitely believe it. So this fair value gap on the 4-hour, I'm for sure watching, and I want to see what price does when it reaches this. I want to see if this fair value gap rejects price as resistance, and if it does, this would be an area of interest for me to take a short to the downside. The only caveat is it's Sunday night, so this is not an optimal time for me to trade. So if they do this trade overnight, I will just follow and see what they do next and trade that in the New York AM session. So next, and let me actually really quick before I flip time frames, I just want to make sure this does not show up on a higher interval. So we're going to go up to the weekly time frame. On the weekly, last week, I pointed out that we had previous week high up here that I was looking for price to take, and it did not take it. It missed it. So we have this low made after this high. So I guess I should say this high, this lower high was made trying to reach this high. We also have an inside candle here, and the low of this previous week low on from here to here was also missed. So we have a high and we have lows that were missed. So now we have relative equal highs and we have relative equal lows, and those lows are resting just above fair value gap on the weekly. So those are all targets that we look for in the market. But I definitely think this was algorithmic. This was on purpose to create this low right on top of that bullish fair value gap. So this is what I would like to see price tap into next week. I am definitely not going to try to get too far ahead of myself in terms of what the next play is after that, but you can probably guess what I'm thinking, what I'm going to be looking for when this area is reached. So next we're going to take a really quick look at NQ. And NQ is very similar, just a little bit different though. So she closed green on last week, and she did create a weekly busy. So she has a new weekly bullish fair value gap, and there is one little sliver of a weekly fair value gap right here inside of her order block. So NQ definitely looks like she could try to create the same move that ES made, or excuse me, the same move that I'm looking for ES to make on this week and or next week. The other thing I do want to point out that I think is kind of interesting, and my chart looks so crazy right here, but it's just because I have a lot of PDRAs in terms of fair value gaps down here on NQ. This is just telling me when I trade into this range, she's got support. So when I get down there, I'm going to be trying to get out of my puts. However, as you can see, NQ is on a very clean uptrend. She's on uptrend. She's making higher lows and higher highs. Okay, so she's still on uptrend. And I want to mention this because when you look at ES and you contrast the difference between ES and NQ, ES is on downtrend. She is making lower highs, and she attempted to make another lower low here, but she was unable to at the end of last week. So I definitely want to see what ES is going to do into next week, but I wanted to point out the fact that they are diverging from each other. They're doing something different, okay? So ES is going down, NQ is going up. We call that SMT. An SMT divergence typically precedes a reversal or a retrace. So I for sure want to keep that in the back of my head, and I do like the fact that that does align with the bias that I currently have on the chart. So the last thing I want to point out to you guys is we're going to take a really quick look at YM, which is the Dow Jones if you're unfamiliar. And the Dow Jones, we're going to hit this day chart really quickly for our last time frame. And as you can see, Dow Jones has a balanced price range on the day chart. So she had a bearish fair value gap here and a bullish fair value gap here. Balanced price ranges have an equal representation of buyers and sellers, as there is like a paint stroke down, paint stroke up, price retraces into this green area, and I'm looking for that to hold the support and offer support for YM, I should say, so that she can try to retrace. We'll see what happens though. It's definitely not promised that it's going to hold, but that is what I'm watching for on YM. So that's basically what I'm looking for into next week. I'm definitely taking note of that divergence. I'm going to be looking for setups that align with this bias on the days that I would like to trade. Red folders. I'm going to want to look for the news to be catalyst used for these moves to play out. And then after that area of interest is hit, I will reevaluate the charts and see if upside looks like a reasonable target to go higher, and either go and take that previous week high on ES that was missed last week, where NQ did take hers, and we'll just kind of see what happens from there. But with that being said, I'm going to let you guys get back to it. I really hope you have enjoyed this really quick forecast or my weekly bias for the week. We only have 2.5 weeks till the end of the year, and less than that for the market for 2024 before we come to a close. So we're going to try to finish this year out really strong, and I hope that you guys are all excited for that, because 2025 is going to be super amazing. Definitely see a lot of opportunities in the market, both upside and downside, which I absolutely cannot wait for. But I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you have a great week, and we'll be talking soon. Bye-bye.